Hi everyone, welcome to round 3 from Drip Drop series on the E2 to E4 at Coventry at the Holiday Inn Hotel. Good hotel's Holiday Inn, by the way. Stayed there a few myself. Quite comfy, not too expensive, all good. Anyway, so this game he was playing the surprise package, Patrick Reid, who is only 100 ECF but he's on 1.5 Ba2. Or must have been on 1.5 Ba2 anyway. I wouldn't play in Drip Drop unless there was a secret overflow or downflow. I'm not aware of them. But yeah, Drip Drop gets double white, which is quite lucky. But there'll be double black to follow soon, which is a bit silly. And Drip Drop opens with 193 again, and instead now we get 196. So that is of course trying to move all the white into an E4 E5 opening if white is silly enough to play to E4, even though that is the best move in this position. So black generally is probably a Kg3 play if to play this. Now the best move in this position is probably to play D4, and that will probably transpose to a Kg3, which is a reversed Verisov, where black will usually give the bishop up on F3 to double white's pawns and get first development and will castle queenside and try and attack. C4 is played instead, which allows black some extra options like E5, and now the game transposes to the English opening with 1 E5, now 6 D3, Bh4 Bb4, I bet Drip Drop wishes I would have seen that, H6, and now I think white should actually chop on F6. Okay, it gives up the bishop pair, but you get like knight D5 with tempo, and then the queen has to go back to D8, and then you can play stuff like E3. As long as you don't open up too much, white should be fine. Bh4 was played, bishop B4, so black's just wasted a move because he could have played bishop B4 and one move earlier. E3. I think Drip Drop should think ahead to his bishop on G2 instead of playing bishop G5 as well. Bh5, so black wastes another move with the knight, and in fact after A3 he takes the knight. So black has blunted several tempi just to double white's pawns and give the bishop pair up. But his position's still fine because these double pawns could be quite troublesome and he's still got good development. Castles, Queen C2, Rook E8, and I also forgive any player Drip Drop doesn't get in this game that's bad. I forgive him because there was a very infamous game going on currently at the other end of the league. It was GM Colin Vernon, an expert commentator, even better than Lawrence Trent and Nigel Short, versus Steve Crockett. That is the game of the century, that. Although it was over very quickly because Colin actually paced him in about 22 moves with the Danish Gambit, which he'd been working on with his coach. But I'd be very. In fact, if that game happened in the tournament of mine, I'd probably just have to ask for a buy in the round to just watch it. That is the best game of all time, that. Even better than Drip Drop v Crockett. Rook E8, Bishop E2, D6. So white needs to be looking to play D4 and get his bishop into good square. So I think white should have maybe prefaced this and played potentially D4, E4, knight D2, D6. But now the problem is the bishop still cut off D3, but white can maybe think kettle with the bishop. And in fact, no, we can't see G5. That's a problem actually that I failed to realise. I was thinking white could attack this pawn by Fee and Kettle win on G2. But in this position, white can actually still play knight takes E4, G5, knight F6, queen F6, bishop G3, bishop F5, bishop D3, bishop takes, queen takes, and black's compensation for the pawn should be insufficient. So bishop E2 was played, which is not so great. D6, castles, bishop G4, H3, bishop H5, now G4, which seems pretty safe because Drip Drop's king's fairly safe, so it's quite justified the slash out. Bishop G6, the only problem is now that D4 is discouraged. Knight D2, aiming to rewrite the knight to the E4 square. Rook E6, which is the most bizarre move I've ever seen, because it just puts the rook on the square, it does nothing. E4, not a very good move. Instead, bishop F3 to try and take advantage of the rook, and also now white can move the bishop to the G2 square because the long diagonal in these English positions is optimal for white's bishop. So E4 on the other hand is justified, I suppose, because there isn't a hole in D4 as usual, but it also takes away potential options of it, and maybe F4 is not as strong now. Queen D7 was played, and now I think F4 is an interesting try. Black progress to take, Rook F4, Knight H7 to rewrite the Knight to G5, Bishop G3, but I don't think this is anything special for White after Knight G5. King G2, because Black's bishop controls F7 square, so the F file doesn't mean too much. Job plays F3, which is hemming in his bishop. Now both bishops are gasping for air. Good job of not claustrophobic. Knight B3, Rook A8. Now D4 is finally played, threatening the fork with D5. And this shows how stupid Rook E6 was, because the Rook is just vulnerable to forks, which is not very fucking good. Rook 6E7. D5, kicking Knight back to the start square. C5. So Drop's plan is to try and blast open the queen side, but this move is tactically flawed, and his opponent actually plays the best move. No, he doesn't actually. He played G5, which is still good, but he should have just took this pawn, because he just took the pawn, because there is a pin. And worse still for White, tonight is coming into F4. So although it looks like a Black's drop to exchange, this is very dangerous to sack. Bishop takes E7, Queen takes E7. The dark squares around White's king are very weak, and White's got massive compensation in this position. So that's a good opportunity that's missed. Instead G5 is played, and then C takes D6 was thrown in, because Job had actually probably seen this stuff, but he hadn't seen how strong the sack was. But he's only playing 100, so that's probably why. I mean, I would never play that against like anyone any good. But mind you, this guy's pretty good. He's got his son's gone up to 1 to 8 ECF, and they probably work together at home or something. So yeah, so he's not a bad player. And now Queen takes D6, which is very bad. In these sort of positions, you always want to take with the C pawn. Problem is, for Queen takes C6, D6, this C7 pawn becomes very weak. Bishop F2 was played, and now there's still Knight takes D5. Rook AD1, and Queen C6 can be played, because if ED5, then we've got Bishop C2, DC6, Knight C6. And now White's got 2 pieces on freeze, so White's going to lose material back. B6 for chosen instead, which doesn't even do anything. I'll solve the problem of the Knight on B8. Now Queen D2 is a nice move, but instead C4 was played just to protect the pawn. Queen goes back to D8. And now Drop's getting a massive space advantage. Rook AD1, King G7. Again, C5 is a good move, but Queen C3 was chosen. H5. Black is in no position to be moving moves like this, and needs to address the problem of his knight ASAP. C5. H4. H2. Ooh, a blunder. Drop fails to realise that the E4 pawn is going to be on freeze. He has to take this way, and he's just completely better, probably almost winning. All his pieces are better than the Black counterparts, and Black suffering from a complete lack of air. But after FG4, Black is back in the game because this pawn actually hangs, although taking the knight was stronger. He's got threats then. Queen E3, King goes up to G6 for some reason, which is a blunder because Drop now plays H4. Although in this position, Drop missed a beautiful combination. And if you want to try and spot it, please stop the video now. In this position, Drop could have won by the astonishing move Bishop H4. So what's the point of that? If Gh4, we play Rook takes F6 check. King takes F6, get mated by this continuation, which is very difficult to say. You have to of course see that. And if the king doesn't take, then we just take the bishop, and the rook still is immune due to Queen F5 or Rook F1 and all that. And if the rook's immune, then White's just a piece up with Black's king completely wide open. And after Bishop H4, If black doesn't take it, then he's just gonna, if his defending rook takes f6, which just wins on the spot, so queen g5 mate next. And how does black defend the pawn? If knight takes 7, then we have the bishop hangs for check, so bishop h4 is completely toast black on the spot. So therefore, black has to defend the pawn in another way, or probably sack it. But h4 is still pretty strong. King g7, so black's just pawn up. D6 is stronger, by the way. Queen takes, bishop e6, bishop e3. Stronger is just to play h5. After knight e4, the only move to break the pin. Queen c1, knight takes f2, rook takes f2, and queen g5 is threatened again, and the bishop actually only doesn't have many squares, and if it goes to e4 we have check. If king goes back, then let's bring the knight around. Bishop gets embarrassed again. And rook f6. Bang. Bishop e3 was played, finding queen a6, which is dealt with by the completely blunder rook h8, which just drops the knight with check. Knight a7 was forced. There isn't quite a mate actually, although white is still well on top. Rook h8 was played. Queen takes f6, check. This is resignable. The king has to go to protect the rook. Now, bishop h6, which is actually not very good. Well, actually, it is completely winning, but it's a bit stupid to play silly moves like that when completely won. Just h5, and black can resign. But he plays this audacious side. He gets taken. Rook comes into f5, which actually completely almost throws away the win, because he missed it. Black has king a7 it seems, which defends everything, and white's thrown away his extra piece. Instead, white should just play d6 for a winning position. Rook f5, king a7, d6 is finally played with 52 moves too late. Rook e6, which is a blunder because it had to be taken, but now rook takes, d takes c7, and that wins a piece, because that is why I call it a fork. Now the rest is a matter of technique, or it should be. Drip drops a piece and the pawn up, and again this is resignable. There's no mistakes here. Oof, ouch, blundered a piece. Yeah, drip drop missed bishop c2, which protects everything. If rook takes d4, bishop takes b1. If bishop takes c2, then knight takes c2, and white wins. After knight c6, rook d1, white is only a pawn up, and black also has a bishop against a knight with pawns on both sides of the board, so there was definitely compensation. Okay, knight takes a7, but still that's a bad move. Black needs to get his king active, and now black can cause some problems in this position. c5, rook f5. ef5, we've got d3 check, and we're going to take this pawn, and then pawns are split, and this is practically impossible for white to win. This move is bad, because now the knight comes back out again. Bishop d3, a4, this pawn should be decisive. Bishop b5, ab5, b7, c5, rook b6, king comes in, and now king goes back, king goes this way. Should be easy to win this. And now black finally resigns, or loses on time, because he didn't resign when he's got about plus 52 down, because the rook is behind the passed pawn and there's nothing black could do to stop white's winning the rook. Well, interestingly enough, I think there's one or two swindling chances in this position, because if let's say if drip drop plays it accurately, it's not going to happen, but let's say black can get rid of White's kingside pawns with his king and sacrifice his rook for the B pawn and then rush his F pawn down. It might be a draw then, but Drake can just use his king to support the pawn and keep the rook on the pawn, so it's not going to happen. But it was an interesting game where very blunderful it was, but it was interesting in parts and there were some very nice tactics and Drip Drop did play well in parts. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Plus Drip Drop on 2.5 out of 3. And please leave any comments or thoughts. Thanks very much.